he immediately told me that, listen, this idea may work or not. That's what he told me. He said, Giuseppe, listen, I want to help you, but just have the mindset that entrepreneurs is a roller coaster. We may start this, but tomorrow you may close it. So don't be too much attached to it. I didn't listen to him. I was so attached to the business. So what I was doing is that we would just create our product from our kitchen, and then we will go outside, meet random people, ask them, hey, we have this new product, we're a new brand, do you want to taste? Then once they tasted the product, we'll just say, hey, we are creating a communities of tasters to taste our product.
What do you think makes marketing good?
I think being creative, being very creative. A lot of people sometimes they just go online and start paying for ads. You have to be creative, man. Creativity at times doesn't need money. Like I think that was the worst time of my life, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
Welcome, Giuseppe, to Tomorrow's Vice. Thank you for accepting the invitation. We're really excited. I think we're gonna discuss today a really beautiful journey of entrepreneur in the food industry, and we're really excited about it. But for those that maybe are not familiar with who you are, we always try to do this really simple question: is how do you describe yourself?
Well, I would say I'm someone who doesn't fear. I like just doing things as they come. Again, that doesn't mean that I don't have, any sort of fear, but I would say, I just like doing. So I would say I'm someone who really doesn't, hesitate when he has ideas.
Yeah, you're not so risk averse, maybe, no? Like
Exactly.
And then, in what mission are you on right now?
So right now, my mission really, and I would say my purpose, is to, create a company that does good to the planet. But at the same time, I also want to create a product that, people can enjoy and that is healthy without, the bad side of it. Really a company that is very transparent, in all its ways, whether it's environment or, it's product wise. We want to keep transparency in everything we do, really.
That's beautiful, yeah.
Yeah. And I heard that what you are now pursuing, like you're building a beautiful company, but it was not your initial plan, right? It was focused more on other careers like basketball or even as a model. When did that change happen, or how did that change happen?
I mean, I would say a lot of things have changed in my progress to becoming an entrepreneur. And I wouldn't say I changed course. I didn't change it because I love doing what I was doing. But unfortunately, those things didn't happen. For example, when I was in Italy doing modeling around 2008 to 2000 and I would say to 2010, I just wanted to be a supermodel, to be honest. I wanted to, do pictures for the big magazines and, and Louis Vuitton and all of
all the
those
fashion
guys.
brands that you have in Milan.
Exactly. I wanted to be the top guy, but, unfortunately it didn't work and I had to walk away from it. And also basketball. I wanted to play in the NBA, you know. Everything I did, I was just aiming to be the best of it. But then when it came to an end, I just realized, man, it's tough. But again, that's why I say, me as a person, when something doesn't go well, I just, it's like, number one, I want to be like this. Number two, I want to be something else. Number three, so if it doesn't work, I keep trying something else. Really, yeah.
Yeah, in the end, we humans tend to be made for more than one life, no? That there's more things that we want to do than only one second career.
Exactly.
Well, who was your idol when you were a basketball player? I'm a basketball player as well, so I know that certain idols can also have an impact.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest, I love LeBron James a lot. When I started playing, he was the one. A lot of people say Michael Jordan. Look, I've seen Michael Jordan playing, and I can say this guy is a monster. Yes, but I didn't live in his era. I didn't live in his time, so it's difficult for me to, relate to Michael Jordan play. But LeBron James, every time he was playing, I was always watching on TV. So, I love the guy so much.
Do you think that there's something of the mentality of LeBron James that inspires you a little for your own?
I think the fact that probably he went to Cleveland, didn't win, then move away to, Miami, won there, came back to Cleveland, and finally won for Cleveland. I think that was something that I really love looking at, and the fact that I think there is something he always say, nothing is given, everything is earned. That is one thing that when I heard it, I'm like, man, this is so inspirational. It's so true, Like you have to work for so many things. And I'm sure, we see on TV him doing so well and, him achieving these goals, but there is so much hard work behind it. And he failed a lot as well, So that is definitely something I see as, very inspirational.
It happens to me that when I was a kid, my favorite player was Kevin Garnett. I've been always like quite defensive, and he was so cool. But now when I have grown up, I am a Celtics fan, and I have realized that my idol now is Brad Stevens. That was the head manager of head coach of the Boston Celtics for I don't know many years. Dragged them to the final several times against Cleveland. Having not the best team at all, and he was a guy that never won a ring as a head coach. That he won it as a manager of the Celtics, but it was a guy that was like the constant pursuit of trying and trying and trying. And now I see it as complete inspiration. In the end, it paid off because he did it from other side. But it's true that maybe in history he will never be recognized for his managerial part. Still was the best manager that there was in that moment.
Wow, that is you are the first person that I'm seeing that actually loves a manager like this. Many of them are like the player, but it's good to recognize managers.
When I was a teenager, the players. I mean, now I see it differently.
Exactly. I see that.
And also, what was not in your mind, as far as I know from your journey, it was like becoming an entrepreneur. When also do you have like the change of mindset of I want to do something by myself?
So I think for me, going through certain situations, I always thought about. I remember one time in 2012, I was like, I would love to, be an entrepreneur. I would love to. What business can I do? I will often go online and look for what are the easy businesses, that I can start.
Easy business.
But I never really had the mentality of, again, not mentality, but the tools of where can I start to be, an entrepreneur? Where should I, to be honest, I was even looking for a job at some point. I was in, uni, in college, then university, just looking to do as much as I can. In terms of, a student. And I think having the mentality of being, somebody who want to start a business one day helped as well, because for example, my background is in product design, and product designers, we invent things, we create things. So a bit the entrepreneur mindset is there because you want to create something that will sell one day. So I was just in school doing my final year of projects, and someone walks in and they look at my presentation and they're like, wow, this is so nice. Like, who did this? And the teacher said, oh, is that guy down there? Is that guy down there? So I met him and he's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing a business? Because this is so cool. And the idea was about reducing food waste and transforming them into drinks. But the presentation was so good, it was like a professional presentation. That's how good I was, to be honest. I'm not somebody who was very good in talking. So everything I did was very visually. Like I just
Yeah.
wanted to present and less words as well. And then he works in, he's like, hey, do you want to start a business? I said, I'm looking for a job. You sure? I'm looking for a job, man. Do you have a job to give me? And he said, no, look, what you have there is so good, And, I said, look, I did it as my, because in school, they don't teach you to be an entrepreneur,
No.
And this guy just told me, look, I'm a tech person. I have a tech business, but I can teach you how to start a business, how to, set up a business, connect you with the right people. And he didn't know anything about food and drink, but the fact that he just taught me, he gave me the mindset, he taught me, how to start things. That is when everything really started.
Wow.
That is when I started dreaming about food and drink, and I started really pushing things.
Yeah, like you met the right person at the right moment, I suppose, right? So
Yeah.
what did he teach you in the first days then?
So I think the first thing that obviously he taught me, he immediately told me that, listen, this idea may work or not. That is what he told me. He said, Giuseppe, listen, I want to help you, but just have the mindset that entrepreneurs is a roller coaster. We may start this, but tomorrow you may close it. So don't be too much attached to it. I didn't listen to him. I was so attached to the business. For me, it was my first love. The business was like, my little baby. I just loved it so much. But I think the fact that he was so much already, into this business mindset, he has already raised investment, and every day when I went to his office, he would teach me, he would talk to me, he would say, listen, Giuseppe, do this way, don't do it that way. He still allowed me to do my mistakes, but he was very real with me, and that is what really, what was a learning curve for me.
Wow. And he's still with you till today?
I still speak to him.
It's a
We often
mentor for
talk,
life.
and we always talk about the past. It's like, yo, Giuseppe, remember when you walk in my office, you didn't know absolutely nothing you were
Nothing.
doing, man. Look at where you are
You
now,
were a
and at times
rookie.
we meet for a coffee. He's a good guy, yeah.
Yeah, great. And then the first business was called Ooze Drinks.
It was
right?
this one actually.
It
Yeah,
is this
it
one.
was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
one, yeah. Ooze Drinks, exactly.
And there you already did some like similarities of tackling food waste, right? So what you have with the business right now. I was
And
wondering what lesson did you, because in the end Ooze Drinks it is bankrupt, like I mean it doesn't exist anymore. So
no, Ooze Drinks, unfortunately, I left the business in 2019.
mhm.
I don't even deal with it anymore. And unfortunately for me, it was to close it down because the food business, the drink business especially, was tough. I had developed a smoothie that was, the shelf life was like 3 months because I wanted to do something healthy.
Yeah.
But the shelf life was only 3 months at the time. The market wasn't ready for something like that. Most of the supermarkets wanted a shelf life of 1 year for a company, a startup like mine, or maybe 7 months or 8 months, because obviously they knew that as a new brand, it's difficult to sell.
Yeah.
So I had meetings with, Sainsbury's, the big supermarket, and unfortunately they were like, "Oh, we love this product, but can you extend the shelf life?" I'm like, it's too difficult to do that unless I put preservatives and chemicals inside, and that went against my business. So unfortunately, that was the tough thing that caused me to say, "Okay, look, I need more money to do this." And it's difficult right now. Right now, some people have invested in me and I couldn't deliver. How am I going to ask them more money to
Yeah.
do, something that will even take a lot of time? So I decided to stop there. And unfortunately, I had some business partners as well. And I would say that things didn't go quite great with them. Um, I think, I mean, it's not just their fault. I always say it's also my fault because obviously I didn't know as a new founder how to manage things. Um, to be honest, I walked away from them at some point because I said, look, guys, I don't think you have all your energy in this. Um, they were going to uni. I was going to uni, but I sent a message to my teacher at university telling them that I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to my business. So at times I wouldn't come to uni. That's what I told her. And she's like, no, but you are still young, focus, put your energy in university. I said, listen, I'm still in uni, but that's just know that I'm working on a business. So at times if I can't come in, I'm not gonna come in. That's the deal. They didn't have, unfortunately, and everybody, I'm not saying they didn't have the drive. Everybody have their own moments. But at that time, yeah, I felt like I'm putting so much into this and my business partners are not. So I walk away from them. And unfortunately, yeah, in 2019, I decided, I think it's time for me to close this down because there is no right, left, up, down. Nothing is working. So, yeah, and then I close it down. But to answer your question, I would say the biggest lesson I learned from this was one, to be patient because you have to be patient with people. We have just started, and patience is one thing that as a startup you have to really have. Things take time, and people take time. So you have to be patient with it. And two, also, I think my experience in the food industry really, I would say, again, never give up on things because from Ooze Drinks is what brought me here now to Gusto Snacks. If it wasn't because of Ooze Drinks, I wouldn't have been here, I think. So definitely, using my past experience and failures to start something new, you know.
I love that thought.
Yeah, let's actually, now you mentioned Gusto, let's dive into that.
Mhm.
Where did the idea from Gusto come from?
Yeah. So after I failed my first business, I was just sitting there and thinking about, so what am I doing next, man? Like man, I think that was the worst time of my life, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. Because I failed in modeling, I failed in basketball.
Yeah.
Then I had this amazing business, and I was like, man, this is my life, I love this business. And then, boom, I closed it down. I was depressed. Like, man, what am I going to do here? And I remember I was speaking with my sister, and she's like, yo, Giuseppe, like, don't be down like this. You have learned a lot from this business. So definitely you can still use these learnings to help other businesses, or start something new. And I said, okay, wait, I will start helping businesses first, and then I will see if I will get another idea. So I started for 1 month. I started learning, working with many other businesses, giving them advice, where to go, with things. And then after a month, I said, you know what, it's time for round two. And round two, this time I got the experience. I know what I need in terms of people around me because I know my skills, and I know that I'm no good in sales. I'm no good in talking. So let me find somebody who is very good in talking and they can also do sales. And I'm very creative. So, put this thing together and you have the dream team. So um and then I just started creating on my computer. I was like, on my laptop, I was like, okay, what was the reason why Ooze Drinks didn't work? Shelf life. What is one thing that can last longer? Dried fruits. Dried fruits, doesn't need preservatives, doesn't need any chemicals in it. You can dry it and you can keep it for 8 months, 1 year. So that is when I started putting down ideas about Gusto Snacks, but I still didn't have a name for the brand. I only knew how it looked like, the packaging and things like that. So when I met my business partner, and it's funny how I met him
How
because
did you meet him?
that's a good question. So my business partner used to work with me warehouse in Tesco,
Hmm.
and we also used to go to college together. And sometimes in the morning we will meet like, yo, bro, we our eyes were so red because we used to work in the nights, and in the day we used to go and study. So at some point we got lost of each other because he went to university somewhere else, and I went to uni as well, and we stopped working in Tesco warehouse. Then at some point, just from nowhere, I saw this guy calling me, and he called. I'm like, yo, what is Claudio calling me for, man? It's been like 2 years I haven't spoken to him. And he's like, yo, Giuseppe, um, I'm in a very bad place right now, and I just want to. I know that you are doing something great. I saw you doing drinks in on Instagram, and I just want to learn from you to get distracted. And I'm like, Claudio, listen, this is the worst time ever because I've
You should have called me 1 year ago, no?
exactly, I've closed down the business, man. So definitely, if you are looking for something to, have a therapy, I'm the wrong person right now because I'm going through the same thing. And then basically what happened is that he said, look, let's meet anyway because you have done a lot, and I still want to talk to you, and and learn something from you. I said, cool. So we met up for a coffee, and he was telling me, man, how his girlfriend broke his heart at the time. He has lost his girlfriend, and I said, Claudio, man, what are you doing, bro? You have to take care of your mental health. And then he said, anyway, can you teach me some things? Because I want to get distracted. And I said, Claudia, I'm working on this new business, but I still don't have a name. I just designed the packaging. But you know what? Instead of you, and he's like, can I join? Can I join you and you can teach me? I just want to learn. I don't want to be a business partner. And I said, no, 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 wait. You are good in sales, man. You doing sales right now. You work for a sales company. He said, yeah. And I said, okay, Claudia. So let's do this. Join me as a business partner. I'm gonna do marketing, design, and the branding and the products, and you take care of selling the products because you are so good in selling. So let's do this. And he's like, okay. And the first thing I did, because I wanted him to really feel part of the business, is Claudio, how would you call the business? Because I don't have a name. I only have the design. And he said, he went by, he said, let me come back to you in a few days. He came by, he said, Gusto. And I said, okay, man, let's go with it. And that's where we are now.
I love it. Like this, it's a beautiful story how you met your partner, but also the part of like your brand name. I was lately listening to a podcast from the founder of Nude Project. That's this big clothing brand from in Spain. And everyone is now like, oh, they built that brand, beautiful brand name. But the story about like how that brand name got decided is like they were just experimenting, and then was like, oh, well, this can work. We just do this one. There was nothing, like visionary or mission driven behind it, but it fit with the whole company. I was wondering now that you established that team, right? What happened then afterwards? Like, what were the next steps that you took?
So, I mean, after we have set up the business, obviously the main thing to really raise some money, because obviously we didn't have anything in our name. You know, I'm just starting this thing from zero, and also at the end of the day, I raised about 30,000 for Ooze Drinks. So I was thinking, man, who will believe in me again? You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea about who may, now that I've raised funding before, how can I raise money again? But then the funny thing is that, one thing I learned, and that was the lesson I learned, is that people really invest in people, you know. once you put your mind to it, whether you fail once, two, or three times, people really love seeing how you get back up. So with Claudio, I sat there and I said, look, we have to go out there and look for some free money, you know, to put into into this business. And we started applying for competition that I've already applied before. So they knew who I was already. And in the application, I started Ooze Drinks. It didn't go well, but I've learned from it. And now I'm doing this business again. And to my surprise, we won some of the competition. Not all of them, but we were able to raise initially £20,000 with the competition. And that is when we started doing research in our own kitchen. I remember we were doing the dried fruits in our own kitchen. We started testing it in markets, and then in the market we started, understanding, okay, what works, what doesn't. We wanted to do something very crazy, which was the flavors: apple crisp with, chocolate, mango, peanuts, chili. Some people were spitting it. Like, what the hell is this, guys? They didn't. They were just spitting the food. But one thing I love is that obviously my family and friends will love the products. But the real people who spit their snacks are the people I want to be able to get feedback from. So we would take emails of people. I think we spoke with over 300 people.
Wow.
Yeah, initially. And then when we saw that, okay, actually this makes sense now, we have enough, yes, we went to manufacturing, and then that is when we developed the product and then launch in the markets.
So with that like 20K, you established first some let's say like testing products,
Yeah.
right? So in your own kitchen, you use the oven, I think, for that to dry it, and and then you went to the market to test it, and with the other part of the money, you went to the first manufacturing.
Yeah, 100%, yes.
I have another question. How did you get the emails of the people? How did you get the traction? Because I think that a lot of people tend to obvious that this initial traction that is really important in order to
Get feedback.
to get feedback. You said that you were doing it by emails, but how did you get in contact with these people?
Yeah, so what I was doing is that we would just create our product from our kitchen, and then we will go outside, meet random people, ask them, hey, we have this new product, we're a new brand, do you want to taste? Then once they tasted the product, we'll just say, hey, we are creating a communities of tasters to taste our product.
Yeah.
Because people will not just give you their email like that. So I'm like, look, I want to have you as someone who will keep tasting my products. Can you give me your email so I can keep emailing you about what we are creating? And people were just so open to give us their number, their WhatsApp, their
Even
emails.
if they didn't like your product, right?
Yeah, if they did, that's a good question. If they didn't like it, all I would say is, look, since you didn't like it, I want to keep creating product because you are honest with me. So I want to keep coming back to you, and then you tell me if you like it. And at some point, some of them never liked it, but some of them changed their mind as well. So I think there is someone even that keeps ordering our snacks. They've been ordering our snacks since day one. So, and we met them just talking around with them. So that's a good one.
Following with what Rusako was mentioning, you were a perfect team of sales and marketing, but you were not food technologists or manufacturers or anything like that. So how did you approach that part of the collaboration? How did you get like a partnership with the manufacturing place? It was like you bring the money, they just say they do whatever they do, or you had to, hustle a little also in there?
Yeah, so so again, I learned this from doing Ooze Drinks. When it comes to manufacturing, you will always create something to give to them for them to replicate. But what you have to understand is that when you create something at home and you think it's so delicious and it's the perfect product, when you go to manufacturing, everything changes. No product created from home is the same as the one in manufacturing, because the time you scale up, the taste change, you know.
Everything. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to find a way to get as close as possible to what you created at home. And this is, yeah, again, this is what I learned with Ooze Drinks. So when we were going for the manufacturing, we started looking online, you know, okay, because it's a new product. I didn't know anything about dried fruits. And then we found a manufacturer in in the UK, in Kent, actually, in the UK Kent area, and they were our competitor.
Oh.
And they still wanted to work with us, but they said, "Can you put our logo, like a collaboration, in front of your packaging?" And we said, "Look, we can do that." But the problem was that they couldn't create the things we wanted to do, like the crazy flavors, the chocolate, and the crunchiness of the products. So at the end, what happened is that we just decided to just move on because we couldn't find, the right connection with the manufacturer. They were not doing things the way we wanted it. And then we asked them, "Hey, can you give us advice about who else can we approach?" Because, and sometimes people are like, "What? You ask your own manufacturer to send you to another manufacturer?"
But this is a very good thing, right?
Exactly.
I mean, even if you got a no, just try to
That's
get
the
to the
point.
next step.
Exactly. Don't be scared to ask because you never know,
Yeah,
and it's business, but you never know what somebody, maybe somebody is willing to help you. So I just ask, "Hey, do you know anybody else that does manufacturing of dried fruits?" They were like, "Oh yeah, we know somebody in Europe." So they gave us the name, and I thought I would type online and I'll find them. Man, it took me 3 weeks to find these people.
Wow. They were working behind a bird store. And
Exactly.
We
I
know
kn-
someone.
Exactly, we know someone. They gave me the name. Man, it took me ages. And and when I found them, I was like, "Man, this is, we flew to Poland. In Poland, we met them, we spoke to them about the business idea we have. And Poland is the biggest producer of apples. So it was the best place to be in. And also because we knew Brexit was just around the corner, we said, "Look, it's best we start in Europe to bring it in the UK than starting in the UK and taking it to the EU." And that was the best decision we ever made because, it was spot on, really. And then since date, we gave them the samples of our products. They tested it out. They sent us samples back. I think it took us from when we went into manufacturing to launching. It took us like 3 months because it was a back and forth testing the product. We are like, "No, no, 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 this doesn't work, man. This is not what we gave you." And then we kept on doing until we went very close. Yeah.
then I'm wondering, was this partnership also because I've heard all stories when it comes to scaling. Is it then that they produce and then if you sell, you can pay them after, or you had to do it everything before? What was your strategy when you approached in the first
Yeah.
place?
So the strategy was that we produce first and we pay we pay you later. Yeah, but obviously sometimes we had to give a deposit as a start, to be
Yeah.
honest. And then from there, we produce. But as time goes on and the volumes grows, we basically have a deal whereby we produce first and we pay you later because it's all about contracts as well. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. But the part what you said before is that you already knew how the packaging would look like. You were, like that part you knew. But I'm questioning over this whole time, didn't they change? Because like along the way you try to understand who your audience is, to who you're targeting. Maybe you have to slightly change your message towards them, right?
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. I would say the packaging changed a lot from a lot from day one. like, because as we were going forward, we kept on design. I kept on designing different things. But then the perfect one came up, and also obviously the packaging with the manufacturer. You realize that, okay, this packaging I designed is too big. It doesn't work with the manufacturer machines. And the manufacturer gave me their own packaging that works with their machines. So I had to fit everything in, change, the messaging, okay, this is too much on the packaging, remove it. So, like you saying, a lot of things changed, as we were going forward. And even, I think once we raised our investment in 2023, we redesigned again. We changed from black, we completely rechanged to a more colorful packaging. So yeah.
And then you had you had the manufacturing done, right? So the packaging was not, you're experimenting with that part, but then the sales has to come because you have to sell the stuff.
Yeah,
What
100%.
I mean, your ideal customers, of course, gonna be retail, right? But retail is gonna say, I want to see some first units that you sold, and then I'm gonna think about it. So how did you approach that step? Like, what were the steps after I think you already did it in the time of processing, but
So we initially, before we launched any amount, we only started with 10,000 units of snacks. 10,000 units seems a lot, but it's very small as a start. And we aim to test the markets with these products. And also consider that we registered the business 2019, but we didn't launch until 2020. The pandemic was going on, COVID.
Yeah.
So supermarkets were all closed. So I remember we were like, guys, man, supermarkets are still closed. We have 10,000 units. What are we doing? Are we launching, or we are not going to launch? And I remember with my business partner, we were like, you know what? Let's just launch, man. Let's launch. So December 2020, we finally opened our website for sales. And then we started working with all the subscription boxes online, which at the time was very popular. And the offices were closed. So, but many of the companies were working in terms of subscription, subscription wise. And that is how we started. And before the supermarkets opened, we have actually sold quite a good amount of our snacks online. And then the rest was sold, to the supermarkets and distributors once they started operating, after the COVID. So we were very conscious about, we being careful with how much we will produce initially. Manufacturer gave us minimum quantity 10,000. And we decided to test that one initially. And once that one was good, I think the following order was like 40,000 units. So yeah, once we validated the market, we said, okay guys, let's just push this, man.
Was the launching like the biggest challenge you have to face that you have overcome, or is there anything even bigger that you have said, I didn't know, but how did we solve this? But we solved it.
I would say the second part is what I would rely. I would say I said, yeah. To be honest, we in our head we're like, man, we don't know how this is gonna end up, but let's keep talking about the brand. Let's keep selling. Let's keep pushing it. And by December, I think by December we had about 4,000 units remaining. We're like, guys, man, we have still 4,000 units to sell now, and it's December. And then someone online sales came back, and they're like, guys, we need 6,000 units. We said, listen, we don't have 6,000 units. We have 4,000 units. Do you want to take them? They took everything.
Oh, wow.
So,
a Christmas miracle, right?
Exactly. And, we still work with them till this day because they always keep coming back for our products, and
I mean,
I think they were our first big order in terms of units. It was a very good one. So yeah, sometimes you don't know how the markets will go, But you just to learn, you have to just push yourself in there and keep learning as things goes forward. You know.
And what is the biggest challenge you're facing right now as a company?
I think for now it's really scaling up. Scaling
What?
up is difficult because you're trying to get into all of these big supermarkets, and you're gonna face a lot of no's, but you still have to prove them that the product works. You know, and that is what I'm doing right now. Like for me right now, this year I told myself like anybody that is gonna tell me no, just get ready to hear from me a lot, because it's not just going to be me saying oh my product is nice or stuff like that. It's your customers that are going to say that my product is nice, and you can't ignore that, you know. So this year I said okay, I wasn't involved in sales much before, but I'm involved a lot in sales right now. And I want to use my creativity as much as possible, because once you get to a place whereby okay, I've sold 40,000 units, but there is a lot of difference between 40,000 and 2 million units, you know. And for you to get there, the gap in the middle, the supermarket just want to know you can do it, and for you to convince them, you have to do crazy things. You just have to do crazy things. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like this for everybody. Some brands, they have it easy. Buyers say that, oh, I believe in this product. But for those that we are doing things a bit differently. Our flavors are very different in the UK market. They want to see, you know, supernatural powers basically, you know. So this year I said, yeah, and you guys will see some on my LinkedIn, a lot of crazy things happening this year. Very soon you're gonna see some crazy things.
I'm gonna look at it. I mean, can you? What do you think that your creativity can bring sales, Giuseppe? I'm wondering. What do you think?
In terms of, so you're saying what do I think in terms of
Yeah, you say like they need a bit of creativity from your side, right? Like
yeah.
deals. So what would you bring?
So, for example, I would say, you know, how can you involve supermarket customers to say, you know, we yes, we love the product. You know, there is ways you can go about it. For example, you know, ideas about meeting customers in the streets, or I've heard people saying customers started emailing, you know, they are supermarkets, and lots of them saying, guys, I thought you sell Gusto, or I thought you sell, you know, this product, but I can't find them on shelf. And then supermarkets will just stock the brand, because they are saying we got like 10,000 people emailing us. They will, you know, things like that. Supermarket love this kind of things, you know, when you challenge them and tell them that, listen, you said no to me, but this is a yes from your customers. They can't ignore that, you know. And I started from the November being very, very realistic online about my journey, because I'm warming up the system, you know. I'm warming up the social media platform, because at some point I know the crazy things that I'm coming to do, and I need the crowd to speak for me, really. Yeah.
So you're gonna build the trust, and for that, do you know the story of how Heineken got into the US and took over that market there?
Oh,
They
no, no, actually.
Actually, well, I don't know if the real, but there's a big story around this that they went with so they went to cafes,
Mhm.
and then they let the salespeople first go to the cafe, and then the salesperson go to the barman, and then will say like, yeah, do you have Heineken here? And then the bar will say, no, 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 I don't have. And then the next week there will go another salesperson to the same cafe asking again for Heineken. And the guy was like, no, no, I don't have Heineken. You know, well, and then the third one, they came finally the one another Heineken that was like, no, I don't have Heineken, but they still keep asking me. So how can I buy it? Well, you're at the right position because I'm a salesperson for Heineken. And this is a story that goes around, but I can imagine. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
creativity
exactly.
sales, right?
100%. And you know, I follow a lot. I don't know if you know about Brewdog.
Blue Dog, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
Brewdog,
that's
yeah.
a good example.
James, the
Yeah, yeah.
founder. They for me, I love their marketing stance.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like him, but when it comes to marketing wise, he has done some crazy things. They have done some crazy stuff, and I saw him even commenting on one of my posts recently.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, okay, okay, I'm getting a lot of attention. That is what I like.
Giuseppe, you're actually one of the things that you also have it in your LinkedIn. You like unconventional marketing. You like to go the extra mile. No? I think it's a matter of your creativity. What is the campaign, the marketing campaign that you have liked the most? Your favorite one for Gusto so far,
Yeah,
and why?
yeah. I think the favorite one so far is the one in front of Selfridges, where we were holding cardboards. So Selfridges was our first high street store.
Hmm.
And I was telling my business partner, man, we have to do something crazy. We just have to do something that is simple, that will not cost us money, because we don't have money. We have not even raised investment. So saying that it will cost us money, there is no money anyway. But what can we do to, to do something that people will remember forever? And then I said, you know what, I'm gonna buy some cardboards. So I bought some cardboards, and then on top of it I wrote, because we don't have much money, as I wrote something like, our marketing budget is low as the calories in our snacks. And the other poster was saying, our marketing, our I think our snacks looks like this to show that, the wonky fruits we are using. But I did some funny sketch, like a baby sketch, something like that. Our snacks look like this. Buy our snacks, they are in Selfridges, something like that. And we were in front of Selfridges, and people were looking at us, and they were taking pictures. We were so shy. I'm not gonna lie, we were shy because we were just standing in front of Selfridges with cardboards, but then a group of people started standing in front of us, taking pictures, videos, and I told Claudio, I think this is actually good, man. This is actually good. We posted it on social media, and the thing exploded. I think we got 10,000 likes on that post. I was like, man, and we only spent, I think, £2 for each cardboard, so £4,
Yeah.
for a campaign that is worth, I don't know, I don't even know a brand that I've made a paid ad and got 10,000 likes without spending money, you know. So so I think that was my favorite because that was the beginning of me learning that with less you can do more, you know.
What are the keys of a successful marketing? What do you think makes marketing good?
I think being creative, being very creative. A lot of people sometimes they just go online and start paying for ads. You have to be creative, man. Creativity at times doesn't need money, you know.
Yeah.
And then once you have learned how to organically win people, that is when you add in money to reach more people, you know. Because sometimes you if you start the other way, there money doesn't buy people, you know. Is the creative aspect of things. So at times people do the mistake of, oh yeah, I'm gonna get a marketing manager. The marketing manager will come, will spend 30,000 pounds in marketing, and you can see sales is not coming. But
Yeah.
that is because, yeah, people don't understand your product, people don't love your product, people don't love you as founders, the story behind the brand. So I will always say that great marketing comes from, you know, being genuine with, with what you are doing, being creative especially, and as founders, tell your story. If you see many of the big brands, their story is crazy. People love the story of brands. Nike, if you look at their story, they often, sometimes here and there, they will come up with a marketing campaign that is telling their story. There is so many brands out there that have a story behind them. And I think customers just love that. So always starts with creativity and with less.
And also, I believe I would add to this that brand is probably the most important asset in the food industry.
Yeah.
Because everything is replicable. Like there is not so much when we go B2C, there is so much that you cannot patent actually.
So much.
And it could happen that all of a sudden Gusto it goes skyrockets and all the supermarkets go and say, hey, we can also do this. We just go and replicate the product. But then what is going to make the people keep going for Gusto instead of for the market, like the supermarket brand? It will be the fact of that they like your brand. And that is the case for Coca-Cola, the case for Red Bull, the case for etc.
100%, 100%. And it's so true what you're saying, because somebody told me once that Coca-Cola can lose all its business. Coca-Cola can lose everything they have. Like if, fire can just burn all their warehouse, they can lose everything. But
Yeah.
nobody will ever forget about the brand of Coca-Cola. Nobody in this world. So that is what is so valuable to them, that that makes them so successful. So it's so true what you're saying, that people can copy the product, but they can never copy the brand, really.
Indeed.
Like I love it because I believe in that fact as well, and that's what I yeah.
Mhm.
When you're a B2C, you should do it, but I also believe in B2B because in B2B, anyways, you're always dealing with the person, right?
Yeah,
The investor
yeah.
is a person that's gonna bring you money. The corporate where you're gonna talk with to make a deal for your technology, it will be still people on that table.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
and a brand is basically the story that will be told about your company when you're not there, right? So that's what you want. You want that people are gonna talk about you.
Exactly, exactly. It's very important, 100%. Like at the end of the day, whether B2B or B2C, you're still dealing with people who see
Exactly.
your brand in one way or the other. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
I mean, those people will probably follow also, like maybe a sporter
Exactly.
or an athlete, because of a story, yeah, right? Like,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's always the case.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, you talk about creativity, but what does creativity means for you? Because like, I can also imagine that you're gonna look at human psychology, how you can make like people feel, attached to your marketing
Hmm.
strategy. There
Hmm.
goes a bit more behind creativity, right?
Yeah, yeah. That is so true. It's good that you mentioned this one. So sorry. So definitely psychology is the biggest part when it comes to creativity. You have to win people's minds, you know?
Yeah.
And I've seen that when as a startup you use simple ways to communicate your brand, people pay more attention. you know in these days, everybody is doing the same thing of using influencers or going online and doing ads payment, but there is few brands that actually go out there to hold the cardboards. There is few founders that go out there and hold the cardboard and say, hey, listen, I'm broke, buy my products, man. you know
Giuseppe is gonna relaunch the cardboard industry himself. All companies buying cardboard and cardboard.
exactly, exactly.
I just heard a very thing. It's like you look for the unusual thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, like there is few brands that will say, hey, a customer said my product doesn't taste great. Do you want to still taste it? So crazy things like that. Psychologically, you would think if I say my product doesn't taste great, somebody will say no, 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 no. But people are crazy enough to say, okay, why was the product not tasting great? Let me give my own opinion.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
they taste it and they just fall in love with it. You know, it's just a way, like you have to think that the most some the things that are you think that are never gonna attract people is what will attract people. That's how I always go with it. And I feel like being creative as well is also being, you know, not being afraid of testing new things. Because listen, I've done so many campaigns, not all of them have been successful, but I
yeah,
still keep doing them. I still keep going out there because it's also about ratio.
yeah,
You can't think, oh, every campaign I will do, it will go loose and crazy on Instagram or TikTok or stuff like that. You have to think that the more you produce, the more you have a chance that a certain percentage will be great, you know. So that is what I would say, that being creative is really, doing unusual stuff. That is, always think about what you think is stupid is what will actually bring you money.
I am wondering. I mean, we are reaching like around the hour, so we are getting closer to what will be the end. But I would like to hear from your boys. Do you expect from the next 5 years for Gusto Snacks?
So, in the next 5 years, for me, I want Gusto Snack to be everywhere in Europe. Also to be one of the top, definitely top dried fruit snacks in the UK and in Europe. America wise, I would love us also to have a foot in America, definitely. And I'm hoping definitely to hit at least 12 million in revenue by, in 5 years' time, definitely.
Where are you standing now? Like, what is now your revenue and stuff?
So, I mean, at the moment, we are working towards hitting around 500,000 in revenue. So this is our projection this year to be able to hit that. And then from there, that is when we want to hit at least, a breaking even point where we can say, okay, now we're working towards profitability.
Yeah.
So at least this year, that is our aim. And then from there, really trying to push, being heavier in America, trying to push in the America or Europe as well, international marketing, going crazy on that one as well. Right now, we are very local. We are very local in our marketing wise, but in 5 years' time, you want to be able to, have a big team that and it's good. What I would say is good because where we are at the moment, we are learning the inside out of the business, and learning inside out of the business means that you can hire the right people that can follow your values and do
Yeah.
the things that that will work. At times, some people are like, oh, yeah, I've started a business, I've raised big money, let me go and hire people. You don't even know what works or what doesn't work. So, the people you are taking them to come in your business, what are they coming to do? They just coming to do a lot of mistakes, really. Fortunately, I've already done those mistakes. So when you come in, I know exactly to say, hey, this one, do it this way, come here and do this, come here and do that. So as founders, that is a good thing that I always say about founders, that being a founder and starting your own business, it teaches you the inside out from scratch to building it up. It teaches you everything about the business that you have to know, really.
Yeah. Yeah. If you were starting from scratch, what you did indeed. I actually want to ask still one question, can I?
Sure.
Because
There's time for one question.
okay, good. Because like as you said, like you're a creative person, marketing genius. I am also creative in a sense, and I like marketing a lot, like human psychology. I read a lot of books around it. But still, how do you decide when to do like a marketing strategy on to send out a message? Like to send out a particular message. Like, is it showcasing testimonials? Is it like, when do you decide? Oh no, we need to push more this kind of marketing, like towards the world, or we need to showcase more stories about ourselves. How do you decide those things?
So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to sales, to be honest. The bottom line of everything we are doing is like we want to make money, we want to sell
Exactly.
the snacks.
It's a really specific metric, no?
Yeah,
Like,
Exactly.
I want money. Yeah.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, you can't go to the investors and be like, hey, I just did marketing and nothing happened, you know.
like it
So
was really pretty, but nothing happened.
nobody bought the product. But so starting from that, we always, from our standing point is that, okay, what can we do in order for us to attract the supermarkets? And what can we do in order to attract more sales from customers? So when it comes to obviously the testimonial and stuff like that, is about we going more out there and say we want to sell more. When it comes to the storytelling, for us it's more about, okay, how can we make noise for those supermarkets and people that don't know us to see us? You know what I mean? So at times we sit down and think about, okay, me as the founder, I always want to tell about my stories. No matter how the company is going, I always tell about my stories, my difficulties, and where I'm going with the brand. Because at the end of the day, I'm also building my own personal brand, and that also shows some authentic, being authentic as well. And I think that is very important. But then when it comes to the business, I think I always try to be careful not to become famous myself and not the business. You know what
Yes,
I mean?
problem.
You know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
have to always be careful about that and always try and also create a story that is all, at the end of the day, it will always fall on top of the business. I sometimes I post, and again, it's also testing. You have to test. You can't say this is the right strategy and that's it. You know. In fact, if you see my LinkedIn, I talk about my personal story, but I also often come up with, hey, I did this about for the brand. The brand did this, did that, and this is what we achieved. Just from nowhere, I had some distributors writing me about, hey, I saw your brand. I love the colors. I love what you just said. I want to stock you this year. I'm
yeah,
like, okay,
nice.
So I think when it comes to strategy, it has to be a balance, between your own personal story and the business story. You have to keep, um, testing which one works, which doesn't, because again, like I said, not everything works, but by testing, you are always able to, win some, lose some, and that's how you go forward with it, really.
I agree.
Well, Giuseppe, we go to the end of the podcast. We have two questions that we do at the end. We try to keep it as also short because we have kind of a hard cut that we need to do. But the first one is actually not a question from us. It's you make us a question for us because we made you a lot of questions. So it's your opportunity to get it back.
Okay, so what is have you ever thought about starting your own businesses? That's my questions to you.
Yeah, I mean,
We had once an B2C also an beverage
like
startup,
alcoholic beverage.
alcohol
Yeah.
beverage
Oh.
after during our studies, like end of the masters, and then
Yeah.
we pursue it a bit further.
Mhm.
But then eventually you follow your everyone follows their career path of other passions to follow. So yes, we did, and now the podcast is also kind of
100%, 100%. And one final question is, do you want to take this? How high do you want to take this podcast?
well, just known by the whole food and agri
Indeed.
field. I
Well,
suppose.
we see completely a gap when it comes to
Systems.
the food system and sharing stories all around. Food entrepreneurs is not the same as a tech entrepreneur. There's a lot of knowledge about how you make your own tech, but then when it comes to food, there is not so much shared. And we want to be that place where people that wants to do something within food, they can just go and learn from people like you, Giuseppe. Like how can I approach to a manufacturer?
Or a law. If you have to apply for law,
Yeah.
marketing, like there's marketing. So we try to be that podcast that has all these different, like let's say dots within the food system or agri system. I call everything food basically. Because, it goes so broad. Like so yes, we want to be that one so that people get a good understanding about the complexity of food systems.
Yeah.
And we want to help people to accelerate their
Exactly.
agri-food businesses.
Oh,
and
that's beautiful.
right now it's a podcast, maybe in the future it's something else.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I love that.
And the last question, really easy. Giuseppe, what is your favorite food or dish?
Man, I would say lasagna.
I was actually wondering if you would say one from Ghana or one from Italy.
I think there is a very tough one. I'm not gonna lie. It's a very tough one. There is this food called, and again, it's not Ghanaian. It's Nigerian. It's called pounded yam,
Okay.
and I just love it. To be honest, I
what
can't
is
say
it?
no to that one.
What is it?
It's basically how can I call it? It's a lot of carbs though. It's a lot of carbs, but
That's why it's good.
I love it so much. Is this? It's like samolina,
Yes. 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 Yes.
samolina,
Yes.
but with some a stew on the side. That you dip inside the stew, and it's amazing to be honest. For me, it's one of my top foods, but I cannot say less no to lasagna as well. So definitely these two,
Me neither.
top.
So I understand it completely. Well, Giuseppe, I have to tell you, we had much more questions here prepared, and we wanted to discuss about many things. But I think we had a blast hearing to your story. When I was hearing to it, I was like actually thinking, well, this is why we make the podcast. We want people to share where they go through and what others can learn. And I think you gave away so many lessons. It's going to be super valuable for anybody starting a B2C in the business. So thanks a lot for the time that you spent with us, and we wish you the best with Gusto.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Follow your strategies, huh?
100%. I want to see you outside lifting the cardboard for your podcast.